Into Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour on Thursday, July 31, the Bill Press Show. The Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday holding a very important hearing on the relationship between gun violence and domestic violence in this country. At the same time, the Center for American Progress released a report looking at the intersection between gun violence and domestic violence in 27 different states. Chelsea Parsons is the Director of Crime and Firearms Policy at the Center for American Progress, and she joins us on our newsline. Hi, Chelsea. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Let me ask you, so what did you find when you looked at, tell us first, before we get into state by state, as many states as we can, what is the link between domestic violence and gun violence?
So we've been looking at this issue at the Center for American Progress for about a year, and what we found were two things. The first is that while we know that since the height of crime, and violent crime in this country in the 90s, overall violent crime has gone down, and that's true across the board, and that's true even when you're looking at homicides. Mm-hmm. But what we found is that of the homicides of women that do continue to occur in this country, a significant portion of them occur in the context of domestic violence. And so what we found was that nationwide, more than 33% of women who are murdered in this country are murdered by an intimate partner. The second thing that we found is that one of the key drivers of domestic violence becoming fatal violence is access to firearms by domestic abusers. And so what we found is in a report that we released last month in June, more than 55% of the women murdered by an intimate partner in this country were killed with a firearm. And so it's very clear that as we continue to try to bring down violent crime in this country, and as we continue to try to prevent homicide, it's crucial that we key in on domestic violence and that we key in on access to firearms by domestic abusers.
So in many cases of what I hear you say, that in many cases of domestic violence, the woman would have survived were it not for the presence of an easy accessibility to a gun in that household.
That's right. What the public health research shows is that just the presence of a firearm in a home in which domestic violence is occurring dramatically increases the risk that a woman will be murdered. And it makes sense if you think about it because of the lethal nature of guns. It's much easier for somebody to be killed during an explosive, violent incident if the abuser has a firearm, as opposed to a home where there is not a firearm, and you may have a very serious, violent incident, but the woman will survive.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm just curious, are there any statistics on the number of men who are killed in domestic violence incidences?
So we know that overwhelmingly it is women who are victims of domestic violence, but certainly this is a problem, and men are victims of violence as well. We keyed in on women. Yes,
sure. What are some of the states where you find particularly striking examples of this connection between guns and domestic violence?
So one thing that I found that was interesting when we were looking state by state is you look at a state like Maine. Maine overall has very low levels of violence. Maine has very few murders at all. But when you look at the murders that do happen, a shockingly large number of them are domestic violence homicides. So in Maine, according to FBI data, 44% of women who were murdered in Maine were killed in an intimate partner context, and 66% of those women were killed with guns.
44% as opposed to 33% nationwide.
Correct. And so in Maine, it's very clear that if we want to better protect women and really drive those numbers down, this is where we need to look. Again, we see numbers like that in Montana. You see 48% of women who are murdered by an intimate partner. 70% of those women are killed with a gun.
Whoa. Wow. No doubt about that connection. Is law enforcement aware of this connection, or legislators? And is anything? I mean, this certainly gives a lot of I hate to use the phrase ammunition, but to those who say we've got to do something about the easy availability of guns.
Absolutely. Law enforcement is very, very concerned about domestic violence calls generally. And what we found in talking to law enforcement, and particularly in talking to cops on the beat and sheriffs and the local law enforcement who are really seeing these cases every day, is domestic violence calls are among the most dangerous for officers themselves.
Oh, right.
And the reason for that is that they are entering into people's homes, entering into situations where you have very heightened emotions. You have no idea what the history is when you're going in. And so generally these calls are very dangerous for officers, but when you have the access to a firearm, it makes it even more dangerous. There was just a case, I was looking at the news this morning, yesterday in North Carolina, an abusive husband opened fire on a trailer that his wife and wife's family was in, shooting an assault rifle through the walls of the trailer. And when police arrived, he fired at officers as well. And we had a sheriff yesterday at the hearing testifying to a similar story where officers are often threatened in these situations. And so it really is, it's not just about protecting women, it's about protecting families and protecting officers who
Chelsea,
are responding to...
I've got to jump in. If people want to take a look at the full report, your full report, where do they find it? Online?
At our website, AmericanProgress.org.
AmericanProgress.org. Chelsea, Crime and Firearms Policy at the Center. Thanks so much, Chelsea. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Congressman Mike Show from Maine in the next hour in studio with us.
Congratulations to Robert Hamilton of Indianapolis.
Congratulations.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, what do you say, folks? It is Thursday, the last day of July 2014. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. We're coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's beautiful capital. And we are going to bring you up to date on all the news of the day and then give you a chance to sound off about it by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. Send us your comments on Facebook at Bill Press, Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And lots going on today. That's why we are here with you on Free Speech TV and worldwide on our video stream, TawkrTV, YouTube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. Well, they threatened to do it, and now they have done it. House Republicans voting yesterday to sue President Obama for, they claim, abusing his executive authority. The vote was 225 to 201. No Democrat voted for it. 5 Republicans voted against it only because instead of suing President Obama, impeach President Obama. What a total waste of time and money. I just wish the American people would throw out all those Republicans who voted for it. They don't deserve to serve in the United States Congress, starting with John. On the positive side, the House did vote to approve that compromise plan on reform of the Veterans Administration, 420 to 5. So what do you know? They can get something. But with only 1.5 before they head off for a 5-week summer break, the news of the day, such as it is, our video watch cheats is happening more and more. The president is trying to stop them. But in talking about all of that yesterday, he made a very important distinction about what's right and what's not.
I hope everybody's clear on the distinction. There's some things that are not right.
Yep.
And then there's some things that just ain't right. And this ain't right.
This ain't right.
This ain't right.
So I like that. Yeah, that's not right. No, that ain't right. You know, the things that are really bad ain't right. Yeah. Things that are just a little bad, they're not right.
I like that. You put that on a bumper sticker.
You got it. All right. Hey, we got a big hour coming up here with Philip Bump. We'll start out from the Washington Post on the impeachment timeline, and then Congressman Mike Michaud from Maine, who will be the next governor of Maine, in studio with us. But first
is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Former governor of Minnesota and professional wrestler Jesse Ventura was awarded $1.8 million.
Can't play. Your dog or your cat ain't gonna know what's going on. Yeah, it's the biggest about the impeachment bill. Don't even give Barack Obama $5. Speaker Cruz is what they.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably...
Right.
Actually reimburse them for. That's correct. Yeah.
I realized about 2 runs. 12. As a teacher,
Press show.
Right. I know this isn't about.
No problem. Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by calming.
I mean, I know very little. But
so there's a few ways. There's a few technicalities that he can bring up.
You're gonna have to have an answer on that. You're gonna have an answer on like pot legislation and gay marriage.
Yeah,
I think it's
things like that. But it's debate over what the NFL should be to punish, and so quote unquote bitch.
They're strict hitting. You know, stuff like you're out here selling pink jerseys and pink everything, and you're trying to bring more women to stadiums. You're trying to market your game to female fans, and then you do this.
Price will be playing for those pink games that they have with the pink shoes,
and then the Ravens
be on the field for those.
And then the Ravens.
She's putting him in the same basket again. Like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. Gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Yeah, behind everyone. They've left it up to schools, and so that'll be interesting. I think there's that is still left up to schools, which is not with a little push from the players who are trying to and keep pushing them towards actually doing something.
The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law.